Welcome to Wanted Down Under Revisited. Today, we're catching up with the Wall family, who we first met back in 2006, when we gave them the chance to sample the life in Australia.
Gary and Callie Wall from Lancashire dreamt of emigrating to Australia for many years. Gary was a diesel fitter who hoped he could earn enough down under to afford a better lifestyle.
I'm looking at it as a life change, a bit nicer weather so we can go out all the time and do things as a family.
Wife Callie was tired of living in Britain too and hoped for more for her children.
I just want to be able to spend a little bit of time together, and what time you do spend, be able to do quality things with that instead of being sat in the house because it's raining again.
We gave them just 1 week to sample real life down under before making their life-changing decision. And there were certainly some surprises in store.
Obviously, I'm slightly concerned about Callie with her phobia about insects and things like that, but I'm sure she'll be fine, as long as there's no major disasters.
Famous last words, Gary.
Don't touch it!
Reach off me! Oh no, get it off!
4 years on, and I went to see how they were getting on.
Hello, the Wall family.
Hey, Nikki.
How are you?
So did they decide to make the move, or did their trial week down under destroy their dreams?
Wanted Down Under puts British families to the ultimate test by giving them the chance to try life in Australia. They have just 1 week to find out about homes, work and lifestyle before voting on their future. But what happened next? We've caught up with some of our original families to find out where they are now. In 2006, the Walls from Lancashire were facing a life-changing decision, whether to stay in the UK or to move to Australia. We gave them a week to experience every aspect of life down under. But was it all they dreamt it would be?
4 years ago, the Walls from Bury were considering making a life-changing decision and moving their family down under.
It's the same with anyone. You get up in the morning and it's sun shining, you feel better automatically.
It was a lifestyle that Gary was keen to try out too, as he was fed up with the lack of sunshine in the UK.
Hopefully, what we have in summer, we'll have there all year round. That is the main reason we're going. What the weather brings, the family life outside. I hope we can do a lot more things as a family.
It's just chaos there. He's working all day, I'm working at the evening, and we get 1 day a week that we spend as a family.
They also thought it would be a better place to bring up their children, Zach and Jodie.
Both the children are outdoor children. They love being outside. Zach drives us potty when he's inside.
As a qualified diesel fitter, Gary's skills were in demand down under, but he was worried that if they moved, he would have to take a step back.
I'm probably working on stuff that I'm working on maybe 10 years ago here. So it's going to be a big step backwards for me.
Outgoing Callie knew only too well how hard it would be to leave friends and family behind.
I miss my friends. I'm a very, very people person, and I will struggle with that. I know now I'll struggle with that.
To help Gary and Callie consider the massive risk they'd be taking, we sent them to Queensland. There were 3 different lifestyles to choose from. 1 in the city, 1 in the country and 1 on the coast.
Option 1 was on the Gold Coast. With its world-renowned beaches, it was a mecca for surfers and tourists alike. Properties were booming out here, especially homes on the waterfront. Contemporary pads like this offered salubrious living, but had a high price tag, hitting the $1 million mark. Our family would have had to venture further inland to the more affordable suburbs, where they could have easily picked up a 3-bedroom home for their £180,000 budget. 4 years ago, there was plenty of potential work for diesel mechanics like Gary, but he would have had to work 7 days a week to match his £35,000 UK salary. Still, surfer's paradise would have been on his doorstep, so Gary could have hit the waves after a hard day at the garage. Option 2 was Brisbane, the capital city of Queensland. Brisbane's South Bank provided barbecues, splash parks and even a purpose-built city beach, which would have been perfect for families like the Walls with young children. Central city properties were expensive and small two-bedroom apartments like this would have sold for a minimum of £250,000. But the suburbs provided more affordable housing, and back in 2006, a three-bedroom home like this could have cost as little as £170,000, so within budget. Gary could have earned a minimum salary of £20,000, but although that was a lot less than what he earned in the UK, he could have worked extra hours to bolster his wage. Option 3 was a new life in the country, and Queensland boasted some of the best national parks in the world. Rural property was much cheaper than in the city, and back in 2006, you could get a spacious home with acreage for just £130,000. However, if the Walls had wanted to push the boat out, they could have bought a contemporary architect-designed house for around £200,000, so slightly over budget. If Gary had worked as a diesel mechanic in the booming mines, he could have earned a salary of up to £40,000, so slightly more than what he earned in the UK. However, he may have had to live away from his family and would have been miles from the beach. So 3 very different options, but which one did they go for?
The Walls trialled city life in Queensland with a week in Brisbane. They both felt it would offer them the best chance to find out about life down under. But did it live up to their expectations?
It was time for the family to set off for the airport. A massive 22-hour flight lay ahead of them. It was a make-or-break trip for Gary and Callie. They arrived at Heathrow Airport excited about the week ahead.
I think it'll be great to see the different way of life and test out all the things in advance. After spending a little bit of time out there, we should then be in a position to be able to say, well, yeah, it is what we expected and we would love to go, or it's not quite what we expected and the grass isn't necessarily greener.
The Walls travelled 10,270 miles through 3 continents before they touched down on the other side of the world. It was the furthest they'd ever been from home, and they were tired and jet-lagged. The family stayed in the kind of home they could afford to buy if they moved to the Brisbane suburbs. It cost around £300 a week to rent and boasted 4 large bedrooms, an open-planned living area, and was far more salubrious than what they were used to back home. No wonder they were impressed.
It's huge. I don't want to clean it.
For what price I've been told that it would expect to bring on the market, we could sell ours and buy this house. Probably big enough for like 10 people to live in.
Yeah, it's like a hotel. Only I'll be doing the cooking.
The half-acre garden had an outdoor play area for the children, complete with a trampoline.
It's practical. The children can actually use it here, whereas at home they probably use it a couple of weeks of the year.
Some friendly neighbours, Gayleen and her husband David, popped in to introduce themselves, and conversation quickly turned to that old British favourite, the weather.
I think this is like our hottest day, like it is today.
You're going to melt in summer.
But this was one of the things that we said we'd have to consider, the heat, whether we could. Gary will be fine with it, but it's me and the kids more.
If you can get somewhere with air conditioning for nighttime for sleeping and a swimming pool, you'll love it.
Yeah.
Fitting in with the locals and making new friends was really important to Callie and Gary, and 4 years ago they seemed to be succeeding with their quest. But Gayleen's idea of close neighbours was a bit different to Callie's.
I can't believe how close the neighbours are.
Do you think this is close?
Yeah, seriously, I couldn't handle it. It'd do my head in.
With the whole family settled in, they needed to get some rest and recover from their journey. They had a life-changing week ahead as their Australian dream was about to be put to the test. Australia is a huge country, over 31 times the size of the UK, and as you would expect, there's a wide variety of housing on offer to suit all tastes and budgets. However, 85% of the population live within 15 kilometres of the beach, which means property prices can be high. So if you want to find your dream home, you may have to look further inland. What region you live in Australia has a huge bearing on what you can get for your money. Sydney is by far the most expensive city to live in, with an average property costing around £320,000. Whereas if you move to Adelaide or Brisbane, you would have to fork out around $240,000 for a standard family home. But if you wanted to save money and live the Aussie dream, small apartments with communal pools and barbecue facilities are really popular down under and can cost anything upward from £60,000. 4 years ago and back in Berry, Gary and Callie's 4-bedroom semi-detached house was worth around £200,000. If they sold up and moved to Australia, the Wolves would have a budget of up to £180,000. But they were hoping to spend less and not have a mortgage. So, back in 2006, what kind of places could you have got for your money here? The first property was a bungalow on the market for around £160,000. It was set on 1/4 of an acre, had 4 bedrooms, a pool and a colossal garage.
Oh, it's lovely, isn't it? I do like this kitchen. It's very open and spacious.
You can get children through there, can't you?
Possibly, yeah.
But there were reasons why it was a bargain. It was around 20 years old, wasn't open planned like modern Aussie houses, and was certainly in need of a bit of a makeover. But in Australia, what's outside is just as important as what's inside, and Gary was keen to find out if he could expect any unwelcome guests. For Callie had been harbouring a fear of creepy crawlies and snakes for years.
All the bushes and that, does it attract all the wildlife?
Yeah. Can you hear birds?
Yeah, I can hear the birds, yeah.
We get lots and lots of mountain parrots and yellow-crested parrots.
Yeah, birds don't bother them. So
No.
the things that bother them.
Obviously you get snakes, but they're not attracted by anything else but perhaps mice or something
All
like
this
that.
talk of Aussie beasties was enough to put Callie right off.
Yeah.
The second property that the Wolves viewed 4 years ago was on the market for £150,000. It was absolutely huge, with 8 bedrooms spread over 2 levels.
Did Barbie live here before?
Pardon?
Barbie.
Barbie.
A little doll that they have in England.
Pink.
It really got Callie and Gary thinking about what they could afford to buy within their budget.
Yeah, I like it. It makes it look really light and spacious, doesn't it? It's nice, isn't it? Should we have a look at that kitchen?
We're going to have a look at the garage.
Give over.
Gary obviously intended to spend much longer in the garage than in the kitchen.
That's unreal, that. I never
Well,
expected I could have a garage this size.
Yeah, well, it comes free with the house.
Yeah.
But there was one major downside. It was beside a main road, so the children's safety would have been a real concern. So, did property number 3 suit them any better? The third property was built on a modern estate, and as it was on the market before house prices escalated, it cost around £160,000. And although the plot was small, it did have a rather strange attraction.
And we've actually currently got a promotion on at the moment where we're giving away a free car. So it makes it a little bit more exciting.
Gary and Callie had differing views on whether it would suit the family.
It's like Doctor Who's TARDIS. There's so many rooms inside, and it would be so nice for the kids.
There's no bath. How can I have a soak?
It could appeal to us, yeah. I think it's the nearest you can get to how we live in England.
Although the garden was small, the estate agent tried to convince them that this was an asset.
What you're seeing is your yard. And again, you're right, it is small. The yard is 320 square metre block which means what you have is a low maintenance courtyard. What you'll put out here is, of course, the Aussie barbecue and start cooking the sausages and probably doing that about 3 or 4 times a week if you're going to fit into the Aussie lifestyle.
I'm getting there. I'd have said no, but...
I need a bit more convincing, I think.
Well, let's go and have a look at the garage.
So, back in 2006, the Walls saw 3 very different homes that gave them an idea of what they could afford in the Brisbane area. It was time to vote. Did they prefer property in Australia or in the UK?
We can see the houses you can buy for the money, and obviously we'll be thinking of buying a house with quite a bit of land that we haven't had before.
Houses are better in Australia.
Houses, no-brainer. Australia.
But although the Walls voted Australia for property, their week was about to turn upside down. Gary had to face up to some harsh realities on the work front.
A lot of it is a lot older stuff. We were working on it 10, 15 years ago. I don't want to be under as much stress as I am at home.
And Callie got literally lost, deciding the Australian suburbs might not have been up her street after all.
I don't think you're going to get the close-knit community like you have in the UK.
They experienced all aspects of the Australian outdoor life. The good,
They've been outside more than they've been in.
the bad,
We can't get in the car. We have to start the car up and stand in the shade for 10 minutes until it cools down.
and the ugly.
Don't touch it.
Reach off me. I don't find it funny now. It's going in my shoe.
But Callie's fear of creepy crawlies was nothing compared to facing up to the reality of leaving loved ones.
We'll find a big hole in our lives with not having you here.
The whole family's future was left hanging in the balance. Would they follow their hearts and move to Australia, or stick with what they knew back in the UK? 4 years on, and where are the Wall family now? Despite all their worries, they decided to take the plunge. They've lived here for 3 years now and bought a 4-bedroom bungalow in rural Queensland. They have a massive 2 acres of land, a huge swimming pool, and the world-famous beaches of the Gold Coast are only an hour's drive away. So the whole family can lap up the surf whenever they please. But is their new life in Australia as good as it seems? I paid them a visit to see how they're getting on.
Hello, the Wall family.
Hey, Nikki.
How are you? So I want a guided tour of your house. Do you think that's going to be possible?
Yep.
OK, come on then.
Come on then.
Yeah, well, the kids have got quite a bit of homework to do, so we'll get them sorted and then we'll give you a guided tour.
See you later.
See you guys.
It looks very impressive as you walk in. It's massive.
Yeah, a bit different from the UK.
So different, yeah. So how long have you been here?
We've been in this house 2.5 years. We've actually been in Australia 3 years.
It's such an impressive house. I can't help but notice that picture. When was that taken?
2 weeks before we moved out here.
2 weeks?
Yes.
You like stress, you two, don't you?
Yeah.
And we had to move out of the house 2 days before the wedding.
So literally within a few weeks, sold your house, moved out of your house, got married and moved to a new country.
And had Zach's birthday as well, didn't
Yeah.
we? Yeah.
Mike, you like pressure, you two. I'm impressed.
So these guys really did jump off at the deep end, selling everything in the UK and going in search of their dream home down under.
So how much work have you actually had to do here?
A lot.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah. The estate agent actually apologised when he showed us around the house when we went back out.
We didn't honestly think we could afford 2 acres, but with the state of the house, it brought it into our budget.
Wow. And can I ask how much you paid for it?
It was 325 Australian.
Yeah.
And at the time, I think it worked out about 130,000 English.
Goodness. That was an investment, although it's changed a bit since then, hasn't it?
Well, Gary and Cal have really grabbed themselves a bargain. 2 acres of land and a huge house, all for £130,000, and they're mortgage-free. However, with fluctuating currency rates, moves to Australia are always a huge gamble, but it's paid off for them.
How was it for Zach and Jodie when you first moved? Was it quite traumatic for them?
I think Zach, he can see the sunshine and he's just out. All the things they've got here, they just tend to forget about it, and they hadn't got them friendships that you might have been if they were teenagers.
So they sort of settled in quite well, did they?
I think Jodie thought she went on a holiday and then never remembered anything about England.
Oh, good ages.
Yeah,
definitely.
Oh, now this is pretty. This isn't your room, is it, Gary?
No.
Jodie's room, gorgeous. Did she pick the colours on the wall?
No, we did it all as a surprise for her. Yeah.
Oh, she must love it. All little girly touches everywhere.
Yeah, she's a proper little princess.
She is. Just looking at her view from her window, I mean, that to me looks like a park. And I've just realised that's your front garden. And it's so quiet. But I say you've got the whole community around you.
Yeah. It's quiet till about 4 o'clock when the parrots come over.
The parrots. That's a worry, isn't it? The noise of the parrots rather than the traffic.
Yeah, sometimes we can have like 200-300 in the front garden. And they're all probably a foot high.
Well, it certainly is a very, very pretty little room. But where do you spend most of your time when you're in the house?
That's in the living room.
Okay.
Come through and we'll show you.
Thank you. This is enormous.
This was originally the garage when we bought the house. It did have 2 double garage doors on, which we replaced with windows and turned it into a big family area.
The same size as our downstairs in England for one room.
This one room?
Yeah.
That puts it into perspective, doesn't it?
Definitely.
You've got to show me your pool, haven't you?
Yeah, but just watch for the snakes.
Snakes? That's not funny. I don't want snakes. Oh, now a lovely pool. And you've got the canopy as well.
Yeah, some shade over the shallow end.
So how hot? It seems pretty warm today, but how hot does it get here?
Oh, yeah, we see 40 degrees in summer. Goodness. That is why we've got the shade, just for the kids, because the sun's... We'll burn them in an hour. They can be red raw in an hour, so...
So that's something you suppose you have to be really careful of.
Definitely, lots of sun cream.
You really are living in a wonderful spot. But, Gary, I've noticed the man shed, which, I have to say, that looks bigger than my house.
Yeah, we're bigger than our house in the UK. Keep all my toys in.
Do you spend loads of time in there?
What I can.
Yeah. So you have got an amazing life out here, haven't you?
Yeah, it's been hard work, but we're getting there.
Yeah. And I think it's your attitude that makes all the difference. You're so positive about everything, but also very realistic.
They really seem to have landed on their feet, but in order for this to be possible, it was vital that Gary found a good job. In 2006, Gary got the chance to find out what work was like down under.
How's it going, Gary?
All right.
How's your weekend?
Not too bad. A bit warm for us, but...
We'll get started. I've got a few jobs lined up for you today.
Yeah. 4 years ago, diesel fitters in Australia earned a salary of around £20,000. Although that was 15 grand less than what he earned in the UK, Gary was determined to get a better lifestyle for his family. But he hadn't factored in the Australian heat.
It's all right at the moment, but it's sweat starting dripping now, and I've been probably working on it 10-15 minutes this vehicle now.
Up to now, the heat's not really bothered me all that much, but it's what it's like in summer. It's not what it's like now, because this is probably similar to a really, really nice summer's day.
At the time, the diesel car business was expanding fast, and there just weren't enough mechanics to fill the gaps.
We have advertised in the local papers for weeks on end and got absolutely no replies. So if someone like Gary was to come along, or an equivalent, it'll be a bonus, because there's someone who we don't have to train, already knows the trade, has advanced skills, he'll step straight into a job.
But Gary found that working in Oz was like stepping back in time.
A lot of it is a lot older stuff than maybe we were working on it 10-15 years ago, so it's like second nature. It's not the latest cutting-edge technology. So hopefully with that as well, I'll be able to take it a bit easy. My brain won't be working as much.
While Gary was hard at work, Callie visited the local supermarket. Back in 2006, was it cheaper to feed your family in the UK or down under?
Get the calculator out.
Initially, she seemed impressed by the price of fresh food and meat.
Bacon's the first thing I found that's much cheaper or much better value for money. That's working out at just under £2.20 for that full pack, and that is probably double, if not more, weight-wise of a pack in the UK.
But by the time she got to the checkout, she found out the true cost of food in Australia.
It's $116.15.
Probably just that few pound more expensive. But on the other hand, the food that I have tasted so far, it has been worth paying that extra few pound.
Gary was in for a bit of a surprise too. In the UK, he was used to replacing car parts with brand new ones, but he soon found out that the Aussie diesel business was more make, do and mend.
These have come off engines, identified and labelled, then they get put away in their respective section.
But one reason he was in demand was that he would be expected to train his Aussie co-workers and bring them up to date. By the look of the spares, that was a couple of centuries of learning.
It's all these little things that I look at and you think, well, I've not seen that one before.
It looked like work might not have been as stress-free as Gary was hoping.
That's something I'm a little bit concerned about, because I don't want to come over here and be under as much stress as I am at home.
But he was more concerned about how Callie was getting on without him.
Callie's there on her own with the kids. She will be tired with kids, because she'll have had kids now for about 4 or 5 hours. Zach will have been constant nagging at her to do things. She can't get out of the house unless she's going to have a walk somewhere. That's going to be hard for her.
Unfortunately for Callie, she was finding out that the downside of everybody having bigger gardens was that everything was further away. So with 2 small children, a simple walk to the park could turn into a real trial.
Actually out looking for a little park. We've been told there is one around here somewhere. It is a bit of a hike to it. Jodie struggles with the heat and her little legs.
For the first time, she was really starting to worry about whether she could live here.
You do need a car over here. Obviously, with it being such a vast area, not everything is on your doorstep. So we've not found a park yet, have we?
After an hour of walking, they finally tracked down the local park. An outgoing Callie used it as an opportunity to quiz expat Jean about the differences between the outdoor lifestyle in Australia and the UK.
And hopefully over here, they'll opt to play out.
They do,
rather than sit inside. And
the only thing is that then you stress about, have they got their sunblock on? Have they got their hat on? Have they got sunblock on? And because if you say to kids in the UK, I'll put your coat on, and they say no, they'll come back in 10 minutes and put their coat on because they've got cold. How are you going with all the kind of insects and everything?
I'm not too bad as long as they're not on me. I sort of tend to go in the opposite direction if I see some. I'm not as bad as I thought I'd be.
Yeah.
But I haven't been confronted on my own with anything as yet.
While Callie got to know the locals, it was decision time for Gary. Was work better in the UK or Australia?
Work for me at this moment is better in England.
Oh dear, a vote for the UK was hardly promising. 4 years on, I got the chance to quiz Gary about work.
Now, how does your job compare to what you did in the UK? Because I know when you first came out, Gary, you were worried it was quite different. It was something that you'd done in the UK 10 years ago.
Yeah, the job out here is very similar, but still it's quite a bit behind the UK. Although Australia is progressing with the new vehicles that are coming in all the time, sometimes you feel a bit bored, but I don't do full-time now. We only do 3 days a week, and we can just go to the beach at dinner time from work if I'm getting a bit sick of it.
In Australia, distances are vast, and Gary's having to get used to a much longer journey to work.
I'm getting up now at 6 o'clock in the morning to get to work for 8. It is an hour's drive. Although it's through one of the nicest rainforests in the world, I've still got an hour commute every morning.
Initially, Gary was worried that a move to Australia may mean a pay cut, but that hasn't been the case.
I'm only away from the family for 3 days a week. I probably do about 20 hours work, and I'm actually earning for 3 days more than I would earn for a week in the UK.
Despite his increased salary and better work-life balance, Gary still has a burning issue.
When we get in November, January, February, we can be looking at 40 degrees inside here. It's no air conditioning, so it does get quite warm. There's dust blowing everywhere, and it's hard when that happens.
But has he been hot enough to impress his boss?
It took me about 12 months to understand what he was saying. But no, Gary's really easygoing. Nothing phases him.
Although Gary's fitting in now, the journey getting there has been far from easy.
It all looks good, but it's been a hard 3 years for me and my family. Just getting to know people in the trade that I work in, know people in family life. It is very hard. Even if you just wanted to go and have a chat with a friend, you have nobody when you get here.
But it's his wife, Callie, who's always on Gary's mind.
I think my wife finds it very hard at times. And some days I know she wants just people to be around her and her friends in the UK, but she's stuck with it.
Life may have been very hard for Callie in the beginning, but she seems to have turned things around and has even started her own business.
We decided to set the business up and just basically try and help families avoid the pitfalls that we made and make their move a lot less stressful than ours was.
Callie rents out a number of furnished properties to new migrants so they have somewhere to stay from day one. She also helps them settle in as they start their new lives down under.
So how have you found it so far?
Yeah, it's been good. Only got in last night, so we're still trying to adjust to times and things.
Yeah, normally it takes the littlies about a week to get the body clock into a routine again.
It has been a complete role reversal for Callie as she now helps others settle into a new life.
You live in quite a sort of semi-rural area. How do you find the community here? Are they very welcoming?
Yeah, most of them are very friendly, very helpful. You pop into the shop and they'll say hello and they know your name and, yeah, they do like the banter.
Yeah, I think what we found with them, if you give it back as much as you get it, you just fit in fine. You're always going to be slightly different, but they're laid back, and as long as you've got thick skin, after a bit, you just become one of them anyway.
Now, one of the main reasons you both wanted to emigrate to Australia was to spend more time together as a family. And Gary, you're working now 3 days a week, very jealous. And Cal, you're working part-time. Have you managed to achieve that? Have you really seen the difference?
Getting home from work in the UK, where I came in, the kids were doing the homework or maybe getting ready for bed if we were late. Where I come home here, if I get home at 4 o'clock, we can have 2 hours in the pool, have a barbecue. And it's like you're on holiday, but you have to sometimes think, I'm not on holiday, this is my life now. And that's the big difference, but it's all down to the weather.
Like the Walls, part of the reason many people would love to move to Oz is to get away from the grind of the daily commute. But is the traffic any better on the other side of the world? And how easy is it to drive down under?
Since moving to Australia, Gary has spent a lot of his time in the car and has had to get clued up on driving down under. Aussies drive on the left-hand side of the road like us, and in built-up areas the speed limit is about 35 miles an hour. But be warned, in Brisbane rush hour you'd be lucky to be going so fast.
Good morning. Taking a look at roads across the Brisbane metropolitan area, and not what you like to hear on a Monday morning.
Traffic Ranger Katrina thinks Brisbane's road chaos is getting worse.
We've got a growing trend in Brisbane. A lot of people are moving to Queensland from down south, so we're finding greater traffic volumes on the roads.
All pretty familiar to the British driver then, but from up here you can see the main difference in Aussie driving.
If we compare things with the United Kingdom, I'd probably have to say the vastness of distance. I think being able to be in the sky really does have an advantage.
With 800 kilometres of public roads in Australia compared to a mere 28,000 in the UK, there's a lot of space to travel down under. But examples of road rage seem few and far between in laid-back Australia.
Australians tend to be a little bit more laid back, and we like to think we're laid back behind the wheel too. I think the stress levels in society is going to be translated onto the road, so a less stressed society means a less stressed road.
And there's one more thing you need to be aware of.
Kangaroo on the loose is a common part of our script, actually. You know, watch out for Skippy, but it's the truth. We do come across a lot of wildlife.
Callie Wall was tired of living in Britain and wanted more for her children.
I just want to be able to spend a little bit of time together, and what time you do spend, be able to do quality things with that instead of being sat in the house because it's raining again.
Hopefully, what we have in summer, we'll have there all year round. That is the main reason we're going. What the weather brings, the family life outside, I hope. We can do a lot more things to the family.
We took them on a trial week down under. Despite work disappointments and the daunting suburbs, they fell in love with Australia. When it came to the final vote, both were united.
Australia.
I think overall, Australia.
4 years on, and I came to visit the Walls in Oz to see how they were getting on.
So literally within a few weeks, sold your house, moved out of your house, got married and moved to a new country.
Yeah.
Mike, you like pressure, you two. I'm impressed.
But although they're living it up on a 2-acre pad and the children are lapping up the pool, life has been far from easy.
It all looks good, but it's been a hard 3 years for me, my family, just getting to know people. I think my wife finds it very hard at times.
And when it comes to listening to messages from her family, Callie has to face up to some home truths.
It's quite difficult when they first went, especially the first Christmas. We'll miss their growing up, and we probably will, I suppose, lose them in a way.
I always come across as the Joker and quite a hard character, but yeah, no escaping it.
Is Callie really happy down under, or does she secretly suspect they have made the wrong decision? One of the reasons many people want to move to Queensland is for its famous outdoor lifestyle, and the Walls were no exception.
How nice is that, Zach? That's lovely, that, isn't it?
They had dreamt of being able to play out in the sun 12 months of the year. So in 2006, we gave them the chance to experience everything the Queensland lifestyle had to offer. Zach wasted no time teaching the locals a thing or two about a certain English sport. But did the lifestyle live up to their high expectations?
Being near a beach would be more of a necessity, so that hopefully when the children come home from school, instead of sitting in the rain like you do in the UK, you'd be able to pack your towels, come down to the beach for an hour, wait for Dad to come home from work, have the barbie, and that's your evening.
But Gary was still worried about the sun.
The heat's a major factor we're going to have a think about, especially where we are. We can't get in the car, we have to start the car up and stand in the shade for 10 minutes until it cools down. That was a bit of an issue if you have to rush somewhere.
It might be most people's dream, but the Wall family soon learned that life in the sun takes some serious getting used to.
You have to adapt to do certain things at certain times of day when the heat isn't as hot. Again, it's adapting to the Aussie way of life.
The children seemed to be doing well, and Callie and Gary noticed some big changes in Zach and Jodie.
Jodie's never asked for a Barney video, which at home I will get about 10 times a day. Zach hasn't once asked to play on a PlayStation.
Because I'm an outside boy, I'll probably be playing out. I think that's all because of the weather.
They've been outside more than they've been in. I think the only time they've really been in is for eating and bath and bedtime.
At home, I'd just probably be sat inside now, probably watching TV.
But Callie was still not convinced. Finding out more about the outdoor lifestyle was only adding to her fears about the hidden dangers that could be lurking in the undergrowth.
Spiders, whose bites may harm humans. And it says Australia has a reputation for possessing the most dangerous creatures in the world. I think I worry more about Jodie in the garden because she'll pick anything up. Obviously, Zach understands if it moves, leave it. But Jodie's a little bit too young for that, and I have been a bit worried. That one. That's the lady redback spider. Obviously, these are creatures that we've never even had to deal with in the UK, and they can kill you. I mean, this snake here, 3 milligrams of venom is potent enough to kill you. And the thought that your kids are going to be playing out with them, it is a bit scary.
Living the Aussie outdoor life wasn't everything the Walls were expecting. So did they still vote for Australia?
We could give the children the beach life that Jodie's so obviously wanting. She's turned into a proper little beach babe.
Obviously, I'm slightly concerned about Callie with her phobia about insects and things like that, but I'm sure she'll be fine, as long as there's no major disasters.
The lifestyle's going to be better in Australia.
Lifestyle for our family, Australia.
They obviously loved the beach lifestyle, but there's more to life in Queensland than sun, sea and surf. So in 2006, we decided it was time for Callie to face her fears about the wilder aspects of the great outdoors. Gary persuaded her to visit the rainforest on nearby Tamborine Mountain. But was she able to cope with the local wildlife? While the rest of the family enjoyed getting back to nature, coming face to face with the creature she had read about was just too much for Callie.
I just don't like it. I'm not a celebrity, but get me out of here. I think it's the thought that some can actually kill you.
And when one unwelcome guest got too close, she panicked.
What?
Don't touch it.
Reach off me. I don't find it funny now. It's going in my shoe. Oh no, get the ball.
Luckily, Zach came to the rescue.
Right, done it so far, that's it now.
But the whole experience left Callie shaken and disturbed.
I don't think she wants to come. I'd say a no for my mum. It's going to put her off Australia. I don't think she'll like to come and live here.
Oh dear, her experience of the great Australian outdoors was a complete disaster. So, 4 years on, and has Callie learnt to live with the beasties?
How are you with the spiders and the insects?
Much better. I think when we first came, I expected to see something around every corner. And after a few months, you do sort of realise, well, hey, they're not waiting to pounce on me. Yeah. And I mean, Jodie especially, she's very rarely got shoes on. She'll quite happily run about and play. If it was that dangerous, I really wouldn't let her do it.
So it seems Callie has finally come to terms with living alongside the creepy crawlies. But Gary's experience of the Queensland wildlife has been a little different.
Last week I got bit by a spider, which infected my foot. And then I had to go to the hospital, get medication, antibiotics. It was quite a frightening experience.
Come on, Gary, let's see the scar.
And you can just see a bit of the scarring that's left.
Oh, that looks nasty.
If I had left it maybe a couple of months, you don't know, you might have lost your leg.
And Gary's bad luck with nature doesn't end there. He's also had a terrifyingly close encounter with one of Australia's most notorious animals.
Cold morning in winter, I rung one of my friends up and we decided to go surfing for a couple of hours. We jumped in the water, paddled out to where the waves were, and there were some Australians. I thought they were just having a banter with us, shouting, "Pommy, Pommy." And I looked around and I thought, oh, what do they want? And they were pointing down, and we looked underneath, and the shark came straight underneath the boards, probably about 10 foot long. He didn't turn around, he just carried on going, but I paddled straight away onto the beach. Since we've been here, there's probably been about 5 deaths on the coast through shark bites and things like that.
Gary's brush with death is enough to put most people off ever entering the water. But although there are large sharks around the coast of Australia, encounters are rare. Despite the thousands of people who go in the sea every day, there have only been 53 recorded fatal attacks in the last half-century. It certainly doesn't seem to have put the walls off.
In Australia, you can go and do what you want. If you want to go swimming in the sea, just go and do it. Everything's here for you. It's a land of opportunities. There's things that we have here day to day that we could never have in the UK. Every day seems like a bit of a holiday, really.
They've tried everything to make the move work.
The Walls had to face up to the prospect of leaving loved ones behind. Back in 2006, we showed them some recorded messages from their friends and family in the UK.
Hi Gary, hi Kelly, hi Zach, hi Jodie.
Hope you're having a great time out there in Australia.
Hope it's warmer there than it is here, as you can see. It's freezing.
Gary and Kelly are a really mad couple.
Cheeky. A right pair of cheeky monkeys, lovely. Every time you go around they're always laughing and smiling and joking.
Kelly and Gary are an incredible pair, really. Very laid back, very adventurous.
Full of fun, really. Do anything. She's a great sister. Do anything for anybody.
Zach is a very intelligent little boy, loves playing outside. Jodie's a sweetheart.
Gary, I know we won't have a problem getting another job because he's a very good mechanic.
If Gaz and Cal went, you know, you're just missing your pals. You know, true friends that you can't find every day. You can meet mates all day, every day, but true friends you can't find every day, so it'll be sadly missed.
If they decide to move out there permanently, I'd be gutted. I'd be happy for them, but I'd be gutted as well, because a lot of our family revolve around Zach and Jodie, and so when they're not there, we're leaving a big hole in our family, yeah.
If they decide to go, my life's going to feel a bit empty for a while, and I should feel sad, but also I should feel happy for them, because it's something they've thought about, something they want to do. So yes, I'm going to be happy for them. I'm going to be out on that drive waving and singing. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. No, I will not cry, because she will cry, and then everybody will cry. No, it will be hard to see them go.
If you do decide to go for good, I just want you to know that everyone will be okay over here, and you're going to be missed a hell of a lot. You know, your life and soul at parties around here.
If you're unsure what you're going to do, whether you're going to stay out there, whether you're not going to stay out there, look, we're all here, we're all behind you. Your decision, whatever you decide to do, we'll back you 100%. You know that anyway.
Kelly, you know that we'll miss you. We've been good friends, and I hope that everything's fine for you.
It's your life, and we want you to do what you want to do. We'll find a big hole in our lives with not having you here, but I'm sure we'll be able to keep in touch. I hope you're all having a lovely time, and I'll see you all when you get back. Come round and we'll make a nice meal and have a chat, and you can tell me all about it.
Finish.
What do you think of that?
I think we knew what they'd say, you know, go for it, but we'll miss you.
But it's a bit emotional for everybody, because they are friends and family.
Yeah, I think once the goodbyes are over, we'd be okay. But it's getting over the goodbyes.
So the Wall family, you've been here 3 years now. So how hard was that, saying goodbye to your friends and to your family?
Horrendous. Yeah, but it's unavoidable.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not nice. Is it?
No, and I think you miss them for the first few months. You miss everybody with the little things they could help you with. You are on your own as a family. And it's, I'd say the first 6 months is the hardest.
Well, you've certainly made a success of it in the 3 years that you've been here. But we couldn't come out and not bring a message from home.
Oh.
So there you go. Do you want to put it on?
I'll put it on.
Callie's mum died when Callie was only a baby, probably only about 6 weeks old, and left with her dad. And my husband and I, we didn't get any children, and I suppose When Callie was there as a baby, probably my maternal instincts kicked in. Or as a daughter, we have been very... The morning they left, they had just recently had a big going-away party, and this house was full of balloons from that party. So we all went out onto the drive, and we took all the balloons with us onto the drive, and we all had a big hug and a kiss, and then we let the balloons go, and off they went. And that was that. It was quite difficult when they first went, especially the first Christmas. So where normally we'd have quite a few people here on Christmas Day, it was back to the two of us for Christmas. What did we used to do before we had all the family around for Christmas? Sometimes I wish they hadn't gone. Sometimes I wish Callie and the kids were coming round for a barbecue or something, or I wish Callie and the kids were coming round. But I'm happy for them that they've gone. We'll miss their growing up, and we probably will, I suppose, lose them in a way, because they're going to grow up in Australia. And nearly every day I think about them. What are they doing today? What time is it in Australia now? I think I do think about them every day. I think they will stay in Australia. I don't think they'll come back.
So how was that?
I don't know.
Yeah, obviously it's Callie's auntie, but I respect Pam a lot, and we've lived with her for quite a bit. It is hard when you see, obviously, them getting older each time, and
she's not going to like that.
Well, it's true. It's like when you see them and they come out, they'll see the kids. We don't really see them growing up. We don't notice it the same. And then my dad said the other day, "Does Jodie, can she talk?" He's not seen her for 3 years. Sometimes I wish we were there to help them, but I know deep down this is where we need to be. So
I think there's also that little bit of guilt that the kids won't have the grandma, granddad contact.
You're really close to Auntie Pam, aren't you? I mean, she's like a mother to you.
Yeah, she helped bring me up. She bought me my first horse. So, and we've always lived within a few minutes drive. So yeah. We lost my mum when I was so young. The remainder of the family was very close. For people like Pam that's left behind, there's just a big hole where you were, and they're just stuck doing the same old thing, but without us there. So that it must be hard. And Christmas was always at Pam's.
You can tell she really misses you.
Yeah.
Really misses you.
Yeah.
I always come across as the Joker and quite a hard character, but yeah, no escaping it.
Back in 2006, Callie Wall dreamt of a new life down under, where the sun always shines.
It's the same with anyone. You get up in the morning and it's sun shining, you feel better automatically.
Partner Gary agreed.
I'm looking at it as a life change, a bit nicer weather, so we can go out all the time and do things to the family.
We sent them on a trial week to sample the real Australia.
I think it'll be great to see the different way of life and test out all the things in advance.
Although the creepy crawlies got far too close for comfort.
Don't touch it!
Reach off me. I don't find it funny now. It's going in my shoe.
The whole family were won over by the beach lifestyle.
Because I'm an outside boy, I'll probably be playing out.
4 years on, and they're now settling into their new home in Australia. And they even have the one thing everyone dreams of, a pool.
Yeah, it's been hard work, but we're getting there.
Gary is under no illusions how hard emigrating really is.
I think when we first got to Australia, we were imagining it's about like home and away. And we're going working at the shop and we would be on the beach all the time. In reality, it's not quite that easy. Even when it's 40 degrees, you still have to go to work and earn money to survive. I think my wife finds it very hard at times. Some days I know she wants just people to be around her and her friends in the UK.
But they've pulled together and are trying their best to make the most of their new life.
Now, one of the main reasons you both wanted to emigrate to Australia was to spend more time together as a family.
Yeah.
And Gary, you're working now 3 days a week, very jealous. And Cal, you're working part-time. Have you managed to achieve that? Have you really seen the difference?
Yeah, I think you have to decide when you're moving what you're actually moving for. Back in England, we'd done 10 years of Gary worked days, I worked evenings, both of us constantly out at work. And we decided to take the choice that we'd prefer to work part-time and spend time together as a family rather than earning the money and missing out on our family growing up. So for us, I think we made the right decision.
Yeah, everything just has fallen into place and we're really quite lucky.
So as a family, you've made a real success of this move. But any regrets? Anything that you'd do differently if you had your time again?
I think our only real regret is not doing it sooner.
Yeah, I think I might have changed some things, but only little things. I think we've done pretty well.
Well, Gary and Cal, thank you so much for showing us around your home and best of luck for the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's time for one last vote.
We've been in Australia for 3 years now, so our vote goes to Australia!
No surprises there then.
The Walls have made the move to Australia, and although it hasn't been easy, it's clear that Gary, Callie, Zach and Jodie have settled down under and everyone seems happy. Join us again next time when we find out what happens to another family on Wanted Down Under Revisited.
The best of Homes Under the Hammer is next on BBC One after the news. Then we're clearing out clutter to fund a lifelong ambition in Cash in the Attic at 11:30.